A silhouette in the smoke. I stand here, a silhouette wrapped in smoke. The world around me feels distant, as if seen through a stubborn and heavy fog, blurred at the edges. This is a self-imposed exile, a quiet space I've carved out far from the noise of expectations and the sharp sting of memory. The smoke is not from fire, but from the slow burn of what once was. It rises from the embers of a life I no longer recognize as my own. It wraps around me, a protective veil, hiding my shape from the curious stares of the world, and more importantly, from my own judgment. I no longer see my face clearly. And maybe that's mercy. It's just a form, a presence, existing in the soft murmur of solitude. This isolation wasn't a sudden choice. It was a gradual retreat, a slow withdrawal from a world that had grown too loud, too sharp, too demanding. The air here is heavy, but it's a familiar weight. It's the weight of unspoken words and unwon battles. I breathe it in deeply, letting the silence settle in my lungs. There is no anger here, not anymore. The fury ran dry long ago, leaving behind only this cool, gray ash. I've become a spectator to my own past, watching scenes unfold on a distant screen, without sound. The silence isn't empty, it's full of quiet liberation, of the deep understanding that the war is over. The fog is my companion in this new reality. It muffles the sounds of the city, turning jarring sirens into hushed whispers and angry screams into barely audible murmurs. It mirrors the state of my mind, a landscape where details blur and only wide shapes remain. I find comfort in the lack of clarity. It demands no answers, no explanations. It simply is a buffer between me and the piercing clarity of what once was. For so long, I fought to see through it, to find my way back to a path I thought was mine. Now I realize the fog is the path. It is the space between then and now, the gentle transition into who I'm becoming. There's a strange peace in this anonymity. Without a face, I have no story. I am simply a person, breathing the cool night air, watching the smoke dissolve into the greater fog. The need to be seen, to be understood, has faded. It was a desire that belonged to someone else, someone who believed their worth was reflected in the eyes of another. That person is gone. In their place stands this quiet observer, this silhouette who has learned that the deepest truths are not found in the light, but in the soft, forgiving haze of the shadows. They have learned to simply be, without the weight of being someone. The echoes of what was. Many would expect me to crave justice. They'd assume I spend my nights plotting revenge, imagining a moment of confrontation where the scales are finally balanced. People believe closure comes from a final, dramatic act, a confession, an apology, a punishment. They believe every wound deserves retribution, but they're wrong. The desire for revenge is a fire that consumes the one who feeds it. It's a chain that keeps you bound to the very person who hurt you, forcing you to relive the pain, to keep the wound fresh and bleeding. It's a prison, masquerading as a righteous quest. I have no interest in that prison. My freedom never depended on your apology or your downfall. It depended on my ability to turn away, the need to be heard, to have my pain validated by the one who caused it, was the final and strongest chain. For months, I screamed my truth into the void, hoping somehow it would reach you, hoping you'd finally grasp the depth of the damage. But the void never answered, and in that deafening silence, I finally understood. My healing was never your responsibility. It was mine. The moment I stopped needing you to hear me was the moment I truly began to free myself. There's no victory in making someone else suffer. There's no peace to be found in their pain. Real power lies in indifference. It lies in reaching a place where their existence no longer factors into your emotional balance. It's the quiet realization that you can walk into the sunlight and their shadow no longer follows. My goal was never to make you feel what I felt. My goal was to stop feeling it myself. That is the harder and far more rewarding path. It demands self-reflection, not aggression. It requires building yourself, not destroying someone else. And so, I let go of the story. I stopped being a victim in a tale that needed a villain. I simply closed the book. There will be no final chapter, no dramatic ending. The story just ends mid-sentence. And I walk away from the table, leaving the unfinished tale behind me. The pursuit of revenge is a storm, loud and violent. But when the storm passes, what remains? The survivor wants no more noise, no more conflict, no more drama. He longs for the silence that follows. He longs for the quiet peace of a clear sky after the thunder has faded in the distance. Walking into the light. Now I stand with my back to the smoke and the fog. The dawn rises on the horizon. The first pale light ahead. It is a soft, tentative light, not a blinding glare. It promises a new day, but does not erase the night that came before it. I carry the night with me, not as a burden, but as part of my story. The scars are proof of my endurance. The silence is a measure of my strength. I'm not returning to the person I was. That person is gone. A casualty of a war they didn't know they were fighting. I walk forward as someone new, forged in the quiet aftermath. I move towards something simple. The warmth of the sun on my skin, the taste of fresh coffee, the sound of my own steady breathing. These small, tangible things are the anchors of my new reality. I no longer chase grand declarations of love. I don't seek validation in another's eyes. I find grounding in the solid earth beneath my feet. The path ahead isn't clear, and it doesn't need to be. For the first time in a long time, uncertainty feels like freedom, not fear. It's a blank page, and I'm in no rush to fill it. The past is a foreign country. I can recall the language, I remember the landmarks, but I no longer live there. I am an immigrant, building a new home inside myself. That home is built upon a foundation of silence. It's a quiet place, where I can finally hear my own thoughts. Uncontaminated by the echo of manipulation and deceit. It is a sanctuary. No one can violate. The peace I've found isn't fragile. It is deep and unshakable. Because it was earned, not given, it is not a gift granted by some external verdict of guilt or innocence. It was discovered in the depths of my own solitude. I don't know what the future holds. And for the first time, that's a comfort. My story is no longer about surviving. It's about living. It's about taking the next step, and then the one after that. Away from the shadows, and into the gentle light of a day that is entirely my own. The need for justice, for revenge, for apology has dissolved in the morning fog. It was a heavy cloak, and I finally let it fall from my shoulders, leaving me lighter, freer, and ready to move forward. The battle is over. Silence won. The survivor seeks no revenge. He seeks peace.